Alright, so I just want to show how to use the two tools that I made to create a quarter section grids and labels from an existing section grid. This is the Nebraska-Colorado border with these sections falling in Nebraska. So the first thing, we need to add the toolbox. So add toolbox, open. So there it is, those are the tools. And then we need to create two additional feature classes where the data is going to be inputted into. So just whatever database the sections they're in, just create one new feature class called lines. It's a line feature, and whatever spatial coordinate system you have, and then it doesn't need any special fields. And then the other one is points. You can just call it points and make it a point feature. Same coordinate system, and you do need to add a field called label on here, which is a text field. If you're done with that, go back to toolbox, and then so we're going to do the create quarter sections first. So the input section grid is whatever section grid you have. Mine's Nebraska. And then the input polyline feature class is the lines we just made. And then this overflow is if any of the polygons in this section have more than just one vertex per corner, it can kind of mess up the calculations that the line does. It can make it so there's a gap between them, so when you go to split them, it won't split them completely. So this is, if you might have to run it a few times to see what you need, but you can put like 35, and then it extends all the lines 35. This would be feet because it's an estate plane coordinate system. But I actually like to leave this as just 0. I kind of use it for testing on what I need to do, but then to actually take care of the gaps, there's a cluster tolerance in the split polygons that I like to use instead. So I'm actually just going to leave this at 0, and I'm going to run the tool. Okay, so it's done. I'm going to change it to a red color. Alright, so there they all are. So pretty cool. Made all the quarter sections. Okay, so the next thing to do is to actually make the grid where you're going to have to split all these section polygons based on these lines that were created. So you need to start editing, and then on the line feature, go to selection, select all, and yes. And then you want to, in the advanced editing toolbar, you want to click on the split polygons tool. And this is where you set that cluster tolerance I was talking about. And I've ran this before, so I know I need to set mine to about 35 feet. So any lines that have a gap within 35 feet, it's going to close those polygons. So I'm going to run this, and it actually takes a little while, so I'm going to let it run, and when it finishes, I'll be back. Okay, so that finally finished. So I'm going to save my edits, stop editing, I'm going to shut these lines off, and so there it is. That's the new grid. You can see that each one's individual. And if you didn't set that, if you had gaps and you didn't set that cluster tolerance high enough, it'd be pretty obvious because you would just be able to notice, because there'd be like 2 of these. Let's see. Yeah, but this one looks good. Alright, so the next step would be to make labels for this. So I'm going to run the create quarter labels, and the input section grid is the Nebraska sections again, and the input point feature class is the points feature class we made. And then so labels, this is where you label everything, and to do it, it follows this format: 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 16. And if you click over on here, you can see the image. So the first one corresponds here, then there, so on. So say if we wanted A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. I don't know how many that is. 1. Okay, so yeah, A corresponds to the 1, B corresponds to the 2, C corresponds to the 3, and so on. And then this part's optional. What it does is it uses that quarter section grid we previously made, and it'll join this point feature that's being created with these labels to it, and it'll output a new quarter section grid with the labels as an attribute. Oh, and I just realized I overwrote this Nebraska section, so I have to use a different one, because this one was split up into the quarter sections, so just be aware of that. So that's what I'm going to use there, and then for the input quarter sections I'm going to use this one, because that's the one we just made, and then this is where we want to save it to, so I'm going to save it in with the quarter. We'll run that. Okay, so I'll shut off the original grid. See, what it did is it made all these points. It figured out the centroid for each quarter section and made a point there with the label, and then it did the spatial join to this grid and it outputted this one. So if we shut off the points, we'll be able to go to labels and turn it on, and you'll want to do it for the field called label. So there it is, and then if we put I'll add this Nebraska section just to make it easier to see. So there you go. It's a quarter section grid with labels made from just that original section grid.